Good morning and welcome to Broadcast. I'm Jackie McDougall. There's no Kim Goldman here today.
Aw.
She's off playing football. she's away for the weekend. So we have the Nikki Boyer in the house.
Woo! Do you have an applause track? Roaring applause.
Yeah, we'll layer that later.
Roar. I can hear it. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm keeping Kim's seat warm for her.
Yeah,
My big old butt will keep it warm.
I was like, who could fill the shoes of Kim Goldman? I mean, they're very difficult stilettos to fill. But I was like, Nikki acts, she sings, she's funny,
Aw.
she hosts. You're a quadruple threat.
Well,
no one
thank
ever
you.
says that, quadruple threat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you for
I'm so happy to be here.
So tell everybody a little bit about you.
What about me?
You like long walks on the beach and chasing butterflies.
That's it. And thanks for having me. Bye, everyone. No. A little bit about me. I am kind of a jack of all trades. I love the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. And I just love, right now I'm doing like producing and I'm learning to direct, which is interesting to start doing something new in your 40s, which is crazy. And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have spent the last few years really in the digital space, which was kind of a happy accident when I started.
You were hosting at Yahoo.
Yeah.
And
I was hosting a show called Daytime and No Time, and I did that for almost 6 years.
I was your guest once.
I know, and you
when
were
I was
so
working,
cute. I know, when you were working at
Ricky Lake,
and you came in, and we did a whole social media. When social media was just starting,
I know.
Like, what's hashtag mean? You like taught me what a hashtag was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
I was pretty sad. I didn't know anything.
Oh my gosh, I look back to those days, and even just working like when I worked at Mom Logic years ago, and the iPhone was just coming out, so right. I never texted. I had a flip phone, so it's just so funny how in such a short time
it really happened fast.
We've become really obsessed.
I know, and can't almost remember what it was like without it.
Yeah.
Right? Like almost you're like, I don't even know how we function.
I know. And I was in my 30s. It's not like I was
it's not like you were 8. I know.
So
funny.
So you now co-host with Ross Matthews.
I do. We have
that
a podcast called Straight Talk with Ross Matthews. And so I do that. And I love the podcast world, by the way, and the radio world. And actually, that was my first job in St. Louis when I was 15 years old. I interned at a top 40 radio station. Call now. Tell us your request for the night. We'll play it. So that was my first job. So I love kind of coming back to doing stuff like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
See that? It's like you can go home again.
I know. It looks different.
So
feels different,
another thing, first of all, you can call Nikki and myself at 661-298-5487 throughout the show, ask questions, say hello, tell us your problems, whatevs. So, but my favorite thing that you do, though, is the whole insta-mom.
Oh, right.
Because when you got together with your boyfriend, remind me his name. Oh, my God.
Tommy.
Tommy.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
He has 2 daughters.
Right.
So you were kind of like...
when we first started dating, we had known each other for quite a long time. So I wasn't a total stranger to the girls. But he wanted to be super careful about introducing me. Like, you really want to make sure that it's solid before you get the kids involved. So we dated for about a year before I met the kids, and I was pining away. I remember one night they went to like a Christmas festival, and I just showed up there and followed them around, like stalked them and watched them because I just wanted.
That's not weird at all.
No, not at all. I'm not cuckoo. Jeez. But I just wanted to see him with them, and we had been dating for a year, and so there'd be certain weekends he would just go away and be a dad, and I just was pining to be with them so badly. So I remember I told them about this little Christmas festival in my neighborhood, so I kind of like walked out of my front door and just kind of watched and saw them. It was just like watching them hold their hands, and it was just really cute. And then flash forward to 7 years later, and I'm like, these girls live in my house half the time and they're driving me crazy. But I love them. They're good. I got thrown into being, I'm not a stepmom because I'm not technically married to Tommy, and I hate the term just girlfriend because it just seems so frivolous. Yeah. But I'm not, so I kind of
life partner.
Life partner. I call myself step girlfriend. But yeah, trying to.
But I love Instamom because
I think Instamom, describes it.
You do fill that role for them.
I try.
They have a mom, but
totally,
that other support. And you probably see things a little bit differently. Maybe from their mom.
I always tell them, I say, your mom loves you unconditionally and will just pretty much think everything you do is great. So will your dad, but I'll always give you the truth. Like, you come to me and I will, like, if they say, do I stink? I'll be like, yeah. Or does this look cute together? I won't go like, no, it's a really good choice. I really love the patterns you put together, but maybe I'll go, no, that looks silly. Try again. Like, I'm really honest with them. We have an awesome relationship. They really respect me. We put a lot of effort into building a super cool relationship. They're just, I got lucky. I scored. I mean, I complain about them a lot and make jokes and I'm silly about it. But at the end of the day, like, I scored with these two kids.
Yeah. But you also, I mean, how amazing to be able to see when you're dating somebody, like watching them at the festival or whatever, and like seeing the kind of guy he is.
I know.
You know? And so it's, I think, you know, a lot of people split up. It's how you deal with it. It's how you raise the kids after it, you know, to see, you know, that they respect both parents and
definitely
anybody else who comes in. So do you have any, like, what would you tell mothers who maybe their ex is with somebody in a serious relationship? Like, what do you think are the worst things that moms are doing?
Ooh, moms
because
are doing.
For me, like, I'm lucky that I'm completely in love with my husband. I'll be with him forever. But if we had, you know, a different relationship or something had happened and we weren't together, to me, that's the worst thing in the world, is having to give your kids up holidays and weekends and miss things with them and just
knowing
to another woman
is like, I know.
Like, that to me is torture.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, what have you learned?
Well, I would say to the moms out there, I know in your brains that this other woman and man are whisking your children away, but you will always be mom. The moms need to know that. Like, I may take them to nail salons and do fun things and tuck them in at night and give them the love that I can, but the connection between a mother and a child is just unshakable. So that would be my first piece of advice to a mom. And then the second piece would be, we should be on the same page here. Right. Because it takes a village, and the two women in these girls, especially if you have daughters, I feel like it's really important to be on the same page in terms of how to communicate with the girls around puberty, how to communicate. Like, that's really important. I think
that you're sending the same message.
Yeah, sending the same message, which doesn't always happen. Even though I call her my ex-wife, by the way. Even though I communicate with my ex-wife frequently, we have very different ways of handling things. But occasionally, we'll meet in the middle on a few things. So I think if you could at least try and show the kids that you're attempting to, you know, to work as a team, I think that's important too.
Right.
And then the final thing I would say would be, like, Tommy and I show a ton of affection, a ton of love, and we have from the beginning. Like, I never walked on eggshells wondering, like, will the kids be okay with me? Will they feel weird if I kiss their dad? I'm like, they're going to learn how to really find love through watching how we love each other. So I have to do a really kick-butt job showing them how to love and be loved. So it's more by example, I think, what stepmoms get to give. So for the moms out there, I think it's just, don't worry, we're not ever, ever, ever going to replace you. There's no way. It can't happen.
I can imagine it's tough because also, you know, oftentimes the guy will become like that Disneyland dad, and so he's fun. So it's like, oh, they went off to the other house, and it was, you know, the pumpkin patch and the this and the that, and like, she's home doing homework, and, you know.
Yeah, it's not like that at all.
But it's, you know.
So, you know, it's not. I'm doing homework. I'm washing dirty socks. I'm doing chore charts. I'm teaching them how to, like, you know, we're doing, I mean, it's not all roses.
Because it's 50%.
50-50.
You can't just be Disneyland.
And he's an active dad. He picks up from school. He makes lunches. Like, he's not the weekend dad.
Right.
You know, or
that's
the
awesome.
Every month dad.
Could you be with that guy anyway?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, in a fantasy world, it'd be really nice to have months on end of just having a boyfriend and not having to share him. But he wouldn't have the heart that he has, and I wouldn't have been in love with him in the first place.
Exactly.
Right? It's like a catch-22.
Well, because if he can't be that loyal, you know, dedicated person to these children that he created, how could he ever be to anybody?
Exactly. And when I first met him 20 years ago, I was like, this guy's he's not ready. And he married somebody else, I married somebody else, and then we ended up together. And seeing the man he's grown into because of being a dad is why he's such a kick-butt boyfriend. So it's kind of
and
like,
he's also talented. He's a musician, and he's so cute.
He's cute. Thank you. I kind of like him. So there is hope out there after divorce, and there is hope for anybody, you know, for the insta-mom road. I feel like I need to write a book about it to guide women who are dating men with
You totally should.
Because it is a rocky, bumpy road. So put your seatbelt on and get ready. But if you're madly in love with the guy, like I always say to Tommy, I love you. And he goes, obviously. Like, that's his response to me. You obviously love me a whole lot to deal with all this.
Oh, that's funny.
They're cute.
That's funny. But I love that he waited a year, because that goes to show you too that he's not willing to put his daughters in a position, of being hurt or so. What's the toughest thing as far as like just the parenting side of it? Now, how old are they?
12 and 9.
Oh, geez.
Insta-mom. What's hilarious is that they think, like, they see me post on social media and they've only seen my career through their eyes. And they're like, oh, because of us, you actually have a hashtag. I'm like, I would have found another hashtag, trust me. But they're like, through their
eyes. Once I taught you what a hashtag was, of course.
Exactly. Right? Thank you, Jackie. The toughest part, I think, for me is in my home, having to give up control. Like, I like things to be a certain way. That's just how I'm wired. I'm a Cancer. I like my home to be a certain way. And it is 50% of the time. And then when they come in, it's a family home.
Right.
And as you know, that's very different. And it's really hard for me to like just let go and let them destroy things and let them have their space and let them be comfortable, because my mom was a cleaning lady when I grew up.
Oh,
so
really?
Therefore, I am like a little bit anal.
Right.
That's hard for me. And the other thing that's hard is that on the weekends when they're with us, all I do is cook, do dishes, help, go to soccer games, gymnastics. I just feel like, I'm sure how you feel, which is like a chauffeur / nanny / cook.
Right.
And it's when there's so much going on, I'm kind of like, wait,
you're trying to catch up from the week and then also somewhat prepare for the week ahead.
Yeah, and then Monday comes and they leave and I'm like, I haven't done one thing for myself. So I have such a compassion for moms that are doing it full time. I'm like, how do they do this? They should get a salary. This should be a job.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. That's, but so are they going through like anything, well, especially the 12-year-old, like boys or?
She is in 7th grade, so it's just barely starting for her. And she's trying to find her way and try to seeing where she fits in. It's been pretty interesting kind of helping her through this, because what I want to tell her to do is very different than what she is wired to do, because we're very different people. Like, I was like, hey, you want to be friends? Hey, let's go hang out. Like, I was that girl. And she's a little more shy and reserved and thoughtful with how she approaches things. So I have to kind of give her advice sort of wrapped up in the paper that I think it will appeal to her in. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tell her to do.
Right.
Jump, scream off the roof and just... weasel your way.
I'm available for friendship. Yeah, I was that girl too. We would go to Disney
Is that why
World.
we get along so well?
I'm the 11th kid in the family.
Oh,
so
that's right.
Yeah, in my family. So I would walk up to other girls and be like, "Hi, what's up?" Like,
God, you would have been my favorite.
Yeah, we would have been best friends.
We would.
Remember the second we met though?
I know. We were like, why do we feel like we know each other?
I know.
Have we known each other?
There were like little sparkles in my eyes.
Me too.
Unicorns and rainbows appeared above me.
So can I ask you a question about momhood? What is something that, like, if you could put yourself in the situation, which God willing you won't have to, where another woman did come in, how would you appreciate and what would you expect from that other woman? Because maybe there's something I haven't thought of.
When I think about it, and the only way I can, sometimes we have to kind of draw from our own experiences in order to like answer questions that you can't really understand. So if, like, for me as a working mom, I have this amazing sitter after school every day. And not that a stepmom is a sitter, but let's just start there with that relationship, because she spends so much time with my kids. And for me, it's understanding. If you could try to understand my children for who they are, and appreciate them for who they are, and just feed that spirit in them. Because I notice, I will text or call the babysitter in the morning. I'm like, hey, this is the deal. They have take one dough today. It's this time, blah, 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 blah. This one has this homework. This one has this homework. Because I still have, especially I have, some special needs in my family. So I try to set her up for success, but also keep them on track and not expect her. She shouldn't be having to go and find out what the homework is and do all that stuff. Like, that's not her job. It's my job. So I will try to do all that. But yes, I noticed my 11-year-old who has autism has been getting a little bit like frustrated with the babysitter and like, oh no, it's not her. Can you pick us up? And it's because I'm sitting, an hour and a half drive away, dictating what happens Whereas if I were home and asking him to do these things, and I could read body, and I could read when
Right.
he's had enough, and I could
Right.
be compassionate and empathetic and say, you know what, why don't you take a break and we'll do this later. But because I'm not getting that feedback, I tend to just like spout out
Right.
some of the stuff.
Orders and
Yeah.
things
So
and
yesterday
lists
I said, you know what would be good is if you convinced me that he's worked so hard this week that he should probably have an hour after school for just downtime before he starts homework, and maybe even let him play his iPad.
Okay.
And so she told him to take a break, and he texted me and she said, I could take a break. Can I use my electronics? And I said, yeah, she talked me into it. She said how hard you've been working. So I
okay.
actually
You set
tried
her
to
up.
build
Yeah.
that relationship a little bit.
That's cool.
You know, it's different. She's not, you know, married. She's not, you know,
Dating your husband.
going to bed with my husband at the end of the day. I love when someone snorts. It's always good. Ask him. But I set her up so she could be successful and have that
Yeah.
relationship. So
right.
I think if moms could get their egos out of the way too, then maybe everybody could do what's right for the kids.
Right.
But I could totally feel like even just imagining myself in that situation, like my ego creeping up,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
like, oh my gosh, because you know, it's just such a big job to
I know.
You don't imagine, oh, I'm going to have 3 kids and then not be with the father of them,
Right.
or you
And
know,
not be with them all of the time that you want to be with them.
right.
But I do think sometimes moms think that it's a walk in the park for the stepmoms. Like, lucky us.
Right.
Lucky me. Guess what I
Yeah.
get to do all day Saturday and Sunday? I'm like,
Right.
do you think this is where I want to be? No, I'm here because I'm choosing to be here.
Right.
So I think it's good. It's good to have
And
these
we don't always
conversations.
want to be there either.
Well, right, exactly, right.
And sometimes I actually get jealous of my single mom friends if they have a significant other or, you know, an ex who takes the kids.
They get a
because-
weekend off.
Yeah, and they get, you know, but they also get a weekend off to finish the laundry and
I
to
know.
do all the things that you really can't do when you're doing all the homeworks.
So maybe like can you guys meet somebody, you and Jeff meet somebody that will just take your kids every other weekend? Then you can have each other.
Well, it's funny. I thought you were going to propose a threesome. I was getting kind of uncomfortable with that. But I
didn't know that was this kind of show.
I told him, this show goes anywhere. I told him one time that I think we should have a custody agreement. That I was actually thinking, I wanted to do this for a year. I proposed this. For a year, we have a custody agreement where every Wednesday night and every other weekend, you are in charge. We're still together.
Okay.
But like Wednesday night
Right.
homeworks, that, like you figure out dinner, you do that.
That's really smart.
And then on the weekends, like, I'm sorry, if there's a birthday party or whatever, you'll have to get like
that's really
if we
smart.
get an invitation and it falls in his weekend, then I
yours.
just hand it to him.
How did it
so
work?
I was like, why don't we do this? We'll do this for a year. We'll document it, and then we could pitch it. Like,
Right. I love how you're working it into the
I know.
show.
Everything I do is like some sort of
Right.
entertainment. It's ridiculous. And so he was like, yeah, no. Because of
said
course,
no.
because it's so much work.
Well, yeah, because then he'd have to really, really be fully accountable, and guys can't multitask. That's a whole different show.
Yeah, it totally is. And I know we have to go to a break in a second, but when we come back, we are going to talk about the whole shaming
Okay.
phenomenon.
All
You know,
right.
they talk about like the fat shaming and
everywhere.
I don't know if we can. The Amber Rose was doing like the slut shaming thing.
Right.
And I just say that under
You're
my
like,
breath. I'm
I'll
not
say
sure
it
if I can say
quietly,
that. Yeah. And you know, I want to ask you when we come back, like, is it that people are so mean and we have to stop it, or is it like, oh my gosh, why don't we just feel good about ourselves and not be shamed if we choose to not be shamed?
Right. Oh, that's a good point.
Like I feel, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But are we going to break, Peter? We're going to break, and we'll
Okay.
be right back with also Samantha-Kemp-Jackson. Welcome back to Broadcast. This is Jackie McDougal. Kim is away playing, causing trouble, I'm sure, doing things that she doesn't do when she's home.
Good for her.
So we're here with Nikki Boyer. So people can find you at Nikki Boyer on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
It's Nikki Boyer on Facebook.
Look at you.
I did my research. And NikkiBoyer.com.
Oh my God, I didn't even know all of that.
You did it? It's just your name, girl. Just your name. So before the break, we started talking about like the whole shaming. People are talking about fat shaming and slut shaming, and I keep thinking that I'm not saying that word if I just lower my voice a little bit.
Shaming.
But the other day, I was on Facebook, and one of my favorite bloggers and personalities, Samantha-Kemp-Jackson, was talking. She shared an article of sweat shaming. So, Sam, you're on the line.
Yes, I am.
Good morning or good afternoon to you.
It's good afternoon here, but good morning to you.
She's in Toronto.
Oh.
Hey. So tell everybody a little bit about sweat shaming.
Well, okay. So apparently there was an article in the Washington Post entitled Sweat Shaming, a Woman's Workout Humiliation. And it recounts a woman who had just recently finished running a number of miles and had deigned to go into the local Starbucks all sweaty to order her Frappuccino. Behind her in line was a woman who said, "Oh, you look like you just did a class." Or swimming, and the woman who wrote the article said, running, I sweat a lot. And then she launched into how she was, quote unquote, sweat shamed.
Wow.
But I love that you shared this, and you were like, what the what?
What the what? I read it and I thought, okay, this is getting ridiculous now. I'm sorry. Sweat shaming is not a thing in my mind and a lot of people's minds. So where does this end, right? Are we going to, everything's a shaming event?
I was redhead shamed just a few minutes ago.
Were you really?
No.
Well, but I mean, under this paradigm, you could theoretically be redhead shamed because apparently everything is fodder for shaming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, let's start at the beginning because it kind of started at like fat shaming, and that is a thing. I mean that
it is a thing, totally.
Yeah, but I think
shamings.
I think it's more of like, people are disrespected. Like overweight people are very much disrespected. Like in society, I think, in that, like, oh, you're overweight, so you must not care about yourself, or you must be a pig, or
a lot
you
of
must
assumptions are made about overweight people.
Yes, and like you don't have something positive to offer the world because you're obese.
Well, I just wonder why people take it so personally if someone is overweight next to them. Like why they think it's their job or duty
to educate them,
to say something to them. You think they don't know walking in that skin and in that way. You think that's not what they think about every night before they go to bed and every morning when they wake up, and you think you need to remind them of something that they're unclear about. Trust me, they know.
And I absolutely agree. I mean, there are certain types of shaming that I think are very real, and this is why I have issues with sweat shaming.
But the sweat shaming, I agree with you, is a little bit ridiculous. This is like, come on, people.
Like fat shaming, slut shaming, all of those things, those are very real. Those are very real. And my issue with the sweat shaming is that it actually decreases the value or the, gravitas, if you will, of the real shaming issues.
I hear you.
I don't think that sweat shaming is a thing. I mean, we all sweat, and if you're hot and sweaty and you decide that you're going to go into Starbucks and you're literally dripping sweat, then, I think I'd probably be kind of grossed out too. I probably wouldn't say anything, but...
you just post about it on Facebook later.
Exactly. I'd post about it and hope that Jackie would respond.
But
that would be it.
But I commented on the post. I was like, if that were me, I'd be like, I just ran 10 miles. Suck it.
Exactly. Own it. Own your sweat.
Right. But let's go back to the real shaming for a second. I also think though that as much as like fat shaming is a thing, we focus, just like bullying, we're focusing on the wrong side of it. Like, okay, I am currently overweight, working on that, and somebody could say, wow, Jackie McDougall is a pig, right? That is up to me on whether I want to allow that to permeate. Because you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm a successful, semi-attractive woman with 3 children.
Oh my God.
I'm just
totally own it.
But I'm just like, you know what? I live life. Like every scar on me, every pound on me, like I've lived a life. I've been there for other people have been there for me, and I've mattered. Like you're not going to diminish me to having an extra 30 pounds on my body.
So do you feel like the people
Exactly.
Do you feel like the people that are up in arms about the shaming are almost in a way, and gosh, I don't hope this doesn't come out the wrong way. It's almost like when you validate what the shaming is, you're almost acknowledging as if it means something as opposed to just pushing it away and ignoring it, kind of a thing. Like Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think that that's exactly what it is, because it really comes down to your own self-perception and your sense of confidence or lack thereof.
Right.
I mean, this woman who wrote the article, her name is Amy Rowe, she's 42 years old, and she's not owning this. I mean, she could have very easily turned around and said some snide comment or responded or ignored it or whatever, but to write an article for the Washington Post and to say that she was sweat-shamed and how traumatic it is for her, I just think that it's really taking the conversation of really shaming in the wrong direction.
I think there are 2 points here, too, that number one, it's kind of like the humble brag. I mean, I had just finished a 10-mile run, and then the second point is this where the Washington Post is going now?
Apparently.
Is this what these are articles? Like
Breaking news.
This is what we're doing, and then when it comes to, while we have you, and I think that we all probably have a perspective on this, but people constantly talk about how girls dress. And then I think that's where like the slut shaming thing comes from. I can't stop saying it in a quiet voice every time.
I know.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I'll just say, because I can't come up with another word for it. But, I know where it comes from, and I know that you can never blame a victim. Like, people are talking when it comes to like sexual assault. It's like people blame the victim for being in this situation. Like, I don't care if, we went and had drinks up the street and we were in the middle of the street, like intoxicated with no clothing on. Like, it gives nobody the right to do anything at all, ever.
Yeah.
So that being said, move that aside, because like everything else on the internet, the lines get blurred. So now we're talking about like people in miniskirts and this and that and the shaming, and it has nothing to do with assault. But whatever happened to actually presenting yourself in a respectful nature? Like I'm not always in the popular opinion, so both of you should feel free to disagree.
I actually agree with you. I can't stand. I can't stand when someone dresses in a way that is just to seek out attention, negative or positive.
Yes.
I have such a pet peeve with women mainly that don't dress to their size and don't dress for their body and don't when you go, like when I see a 45-year-old woman in a crop top exposing her stomach, I'm like, what do you expect to get?
I'm sorry, I didn't know it doesn't fit.
Oh my God. No, I can't.
Now everybody's picturing me. But I mean, what do you both think when it comes to, like, I mean, we used to have school clothes and play clothes,
right?
And if you want to wear whatever you want to wear, that more power to you. That's fine, but it doesn't mean that other people don't have the right to make determinations based on what you're wearing. That's what we do. We go to interviews and we wear certain things, like. Sam, what do you think?
The sad thing is, unfortunately, that's one of life's real lessons, is that, it would be a lovely utopia if nobody was judged by the way they look or how they dress.
Right.
But unfortunately, we all know that, the way you dress, it's going to form an opinion in someone else's mind. And what is that little expression that they say, you have 30 seconds before someone makes a decision about you.
Right.
And,
First impressions.
you only have... Yeah, first impression. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression. And so to that end, that's the reason why we all dress up very nicely if we're going to a job interview or we're meeting our new, boyfriend's parents. We don't dress like a slob or whatever. So there are real implications to how you're dressed, and it might not be fair, but it's real, right? With respect to the whole kind of, sweat shaming, I'm sorry I keep going back to this.
Yeah, no.
It's just so asinine.
It's that good.
And then somebody else. I mean, there was a radio podcast I listened to that's popular up here on our public broadcaster. They interviewed the woman who wrote the Washington Post article, and then they interviewed another woman who said that she too had been sweat shamed because, again, humble bragging, she was running and she was sweaty and it's not fair and blah blah. And I'm just thinking, come on now, like where are we going?
Yeah,
From a woman who sweats like when picking up the groceries in her yoga pants.
Oh my God, me too.
Like, if I were running, I'd be letting the world know.
No kidding. I'd be wearing those sweat stains proudly.
And I'm owning my sweat.
Oh my God.
Yes. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It really is. I love that you're constantly talking about stuff like this. The shaming.
What's
and
next after sweat shaming?
Yeah. And Sam, not to put you on the spot, but what else are you working on up there in Toronto these days? Any other topics? Any other juicy topics?
Juicy topics. Well, what are some juicy topics? Well, it's quite local, but our Blue Jays, our baseball team, is in the final, so we're hoping that that's going to go well this afternoon. In terms of
but the America's pastime. Like, imagine if it goes to Canada.
It is America's pastime. That's true. We might take it away from you as long as you don't try to take our hockey. Right?
Oh, you can keep
we
it.
own that. Come on now.
You can have it.
Although LA and Boston have done. I grew up in Boston. Now I'm LA in 20 years. We've done pretty well over the past few
Boston,
years.
yeah, I'll give you that. You guys do pretty well. You do a mean game, but you know what? We do better. Sorry.
I have to say, your national anthem is quite lovely. It is. It's so much. It's so much prettier than ours.
Well, it's easier to sing. Do you notice that in America, the songs that we sing most often are the most
so
difficult to sing?
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that person who's like, you know what? Let's do Happy Birthday where everybody sounds tone deaf.
And let's do the national anthem where you have to hit the bottom of your register and then be Mariah Carey 5 seconds later.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? Somebody told me, a friend of mine who's American told me that your national anthem was originally some kind of a drinking song or something.
That sounds about right.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Is that true?
I don't think
I don't
so.
know if that's true.
I don't know. I'm going to look that one up.
So don't spam me online. I don't know. Someone told me that.
That might actually be like
we're going to national anthem shame you.
Yeah. That might be on the citizenship test. I don't know.
Well, I'm shaming you for shaming me.
Exactly. Shame on you.
Okay?
But
shame on you for shaming me.
Let's go back to that for a second. So can we start to empower each other? Starting with the three of us, and maybe it will spread like wildfire.
I love it.
But don't allow it's like when I would be teased by my brother incessantly growing up, and my parents were like, ignore him, and I didn't really understand what they were saying because you can't ignore it. But what they were really trying to say in their 70s Boston accents was that, don't let what he says become your truth.
That's true.
Exactly. It's so true. That is so true, Jackie. Because, what is that expression that I can't remember? I think it might have been Eleanor Roosevelt who said something like, somebody can't treat you badly without your consent or something like that.
Right.
Right? So it's like if you're giving the power over to somebody else to let them, paint you a certain way, you have the power to kind of take that back. And I just think this whole thing, there are certain things, as you said, about fat shaming and slut shaming that are very real. But this sweat thing is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
You're like, I'm drawing the line.
So, but what I really want
to,
what I really want to know though, Sam, is like, how do you feel about the whole sweat shaming?
Yeah, I want to know too.
Because your stance on it is pretty vague.
I know. That's me, the queen of vague, right?
Oh my gosh.
So I have to say, I looked it up, and in the LA Times in 2014, they said Star Spangled Banner anthem was once a song of drinking and sex.
Okay, so I didn't make it up, and
I don't think you did.
So nobody has to tweet mean things to me. I'm not saying anything bad.
Just not about this.
Because not about this. Well, I have to say, I actually really like your national anthem, and every time I watch a game and I hear it, I think, I feel a bit teary-eyed, and I want to put my hand over my chest, too.
Sweet.
It's quite lovely.
Let me ask you this. Is your chest all gross and sweaty when you do it?
It's usually sweaty, and I'm usually national anthem singing, sweat shamed, too. So there you go.
Well, that's because there's probably alcohol in your system. It's coming out of your pores. But
I'm alcohol shamed as well because I am usually holding a beer. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm alcohol shamed.
Yeah, but I think that, there's something about Americans at events. They may not treat each other that way on a regular basis, but, at sporting events, they come together and, I don't know, there becomes this, and maybe it is alcohol infused or at least supported.
What do they become?
They become like these proud American, and at the end, and then that person hits the high note, and you think that, they just won the Oscar.
Right.
They're just so excited for that. And so I can imagine.
Awesome, though. I think that's great.
And you don't get that for Canada?
No, we do. Well, you know what? You need to watch one of our home hockey games because people are all over themselves at the very end when we sing our last little verse of our national anthem. It is a big moment.
But they're just very polite.
We are polite, but we can throw down a bit. We can throw down. We just need a couple of beers. We're good.
I have some friends who I'm close with in my community, and they go to our Taekwondo studio, and they are from Canada and from Toronto, and it was so funny. We were at dinner one night, and they're just so nice, and so when I give people a little sass or whatever. You could see their faces like, oh, we don't know what to do with that. But one time, like my husband and I brought up like some real issues, like political issues, and you would have thought I asked them to like solve, world hunger.
Right. They're like,
they didn't. It was they were looking at each other, and I was like, and so I turned to my husband. I said, I think we lost their friendship.
Oh no!
It was just their. I mean, they just don't. And do you find that? I mean, is there as much passion in Toronto as far as political and some of these social issues as you would get here when you're down here in America?
There actually is. Right now, we're actually leading up to a federal election, and there are kind of three parties that are quite divided with respect to, their political viewpoints. Mm-hmm. And our current prime minister has been in the position for a long time, and let's just say a lot of people are not fans of his. Huh. So I've actually seen some of my fellow Canadians who are normally quite polite and reserved really break out and start using F-bombs and stuff in relation to him and some of the political parties. So yeah, we can kind of get riled if you get us going. So, but it just takes us a little longer. Our fuse is a little bit longer, but once we get there, it's quite ignited.
I wish I had a longer fuse.
I feel like when they go into the voting booth in Canada, it's like, yes, please, no, thank you. Like, that's how you vote for people.
I like
we
that.
do. Most of the time, it is usually please, and we'll apologize if we did something
wrong.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry I didn't vote for you.
We say sorry way too much. But you know what? That's what I love about Americans. That's what I love about my friends who are from the U.S. It's like this is the way it is, and this is just the way it is. I love that.
Unapologetic.
Awesome. I need to be like this. Yeah, I love that. It's like you guys own it completely. There's no apologies. I think that's great.
Maybe online anyway.
Right. Yeah.
We're basket cases in real life.
In person too. I mean, I've gone to New York many times, and those New Yorkers, man, they don't hold back.
Oh yeah. That's different,
right?
They're Yankees fans. You don't want to listen to them.
Oh snap!
Hey,
well, Samantha-Kemp-Jackson, how people can find you at SamKJ27 on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. And yeah, SamKJ27 on Twitter, SamKJ27 Instagram, multiple Mayhem Mama is my website. Mama is MAMMA.
Yes.
.com.
Because you write about having 3 kids. You've got those little cutie pie twins.
I've got actually 4, but one's grown up.
Oh, that's right.
3 are the younger ones. Yes, 2 of them are identical twin boys. They're driving me nuts. And my 11 going on 12-year-old tween. So suffice it to say I've got lots of gray hair, and I'm very frugal.
Yeah, you got your hands full.
Yes. So your older one, she's helpful?
No. Well, she doesn't live with us, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she swoops in and...
I guess that's sort of helpful.
I guess so, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on. We have to do this again.
Yes, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm apologizing.
Sorry. In advance for anything you might say.
For anything I might say.
Samantha-Kemp-Jackson, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So we have to go to break, but when we come back, I want to talk about Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
Her daughter... one side says she ran away, and one side says she was kicked out. But the fact that we're talking about anybody's kid is weird. But Rosie's devastated that her daughter did an interview and talked about her relationship, and I find that kind of ironic, given how much she shows. But anyway, we'll be right back. You're listening to Broadcast with Jackie McDougall and Nikki Boyer. Welcome back to Broadcast. That's our favorite voiceover guy. We have to have him do some of those new ones because it's been almost 6 months that we've been on the radio now.
Oh my gosh.
Since April 26th. It certainly does. And we're already in, our last segment.
I know.
Is this our last segment? That's just sad. Okay, so Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
Everyone knows how outspoken she is.
Yes.
Doesn't really hold anything back. She's talked about her family their whole lives, I think. Her daughter, Chelsea, who she adopted as a baby, ran away, according to Rosie, and she was tweeting about it, and she wanted her to come home, and she was heartbroken.
Got the authorities involved to find her.
Yeah, I mean, she was.
It's pretty intense.
So, I guess Chelsea finally. Well, she came home. She did an interview, and said that she was actually. Sorry, I'm pulling it up.
That's okay.
She was actually kicked out.
Okay.
And that her mom is a phony. So that she's one person in front of, which is interesting, one person in front of the public and then another person at home, which that's kind of all of us sometimes a little bit.
If you really saw the real me, I don't think you'd listen or watch. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, but that's all of us as far as, that's why I think on social media, I try to be funny with like the other stuff that happens. Like yesterday when I tripped head first into the warm-up guy's chest at Fab Life show. Yeah, that was fun. But, I like to me, like if you let people know what your flaws are before they
call them out.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because then you're like, you have nothing on me.
Exactly.
Because I've already told you. So, anyway.
Well, this situation with, listen,
But is it ironic or is it, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
I think ironic's what you mean.
Yeah, but.
Or like sort of,
I'm
completely.
This is what happens after 40, people.
But I know what word you're thinking of. And I bet the people listening know what word you're thinking of.
Like a contra. Hypocritical. Thank you. See, I'm always so positive. I can't think of the mean words.
Look at you. I have to say,
she said her mom's a hypocrite who smokes a lot of weed. If I had just scrolled down, I could have seen the word.
Well, how old is this girl?
She's 18, almost 18.
Okay, so she's 18 years old. She was adopted by a very famous person. I think she's got some stuff going on, mental health going on. I don't know if I would trust the words of an 18-year-old with mental health issues who's probably angry at the world as well as her mom. I don't know. I met Rosie a week before her daughter went missing. We interviewed her on this other show that I had her on, and I had never met her in real life. And I had my ideas of what I thought she would be like, and I have to say, she's really, really down to earth, very lovely. Didn't really want to get into her children because I think there's custody stuff going on with her and her ex. Okay. So you have to understand that's going on too.
Yep.
So do I think it's ironic that all of that happens to celebrities' kids? I do. But I don't
I just mean
know.
that she's so heartbroken that her daughter was outspoken, when I feel like if you put your life out there regularly for decades, and that's what your kids grow up with.
That's true.
That's what they
watch and they learn, and
yeah, it's like being a big drinker, and then
I don't think she seems to me like a let it all hang out, wear your heart on your sleeve, tell it like it is. I have a feeling she may have been upset because maybe what her daughter was saying wasn't really true. But then again, do you and your teenagers ever really share the same mindset anyway?
Perspective is a very, very powerful thing.
So I don't know.
I like your take. I like, I worked on her show for a month.
Oh, you did? What was that
way
like?
back a million years ago, and I never met her then. I mean, I remember my first kind of introduction to her was when she played a role in remember the movie Then and Now?
Yes, I do.
And I knew that her mother had died when she was young, and mine had as well. And I watched her play that role, and she was somebody whose mother had died, and then she gave birth or something, and I was taken by that role. And then, but I even though I worked there, I never met her, and I think that she tends to spout off more than maybe is necessary.
Well, yeah, that's kind of been her personality.
At times.
So when you see kids of celebrities that are like that, you're like, interesting. But
but at the same time, I'm public in that, I do the show and I talk about my life, and I'm on Facebook and I share pictures of my kids and stuff like that. So, if it ever got to the point where it felt like that was doing my family a disservice, I'd have to stop. But I mean, I don't know. I know. That's her life.
And her life is so, if you think about a normal life and the issues that come up that you have with your kids just on a normal day-to-day basis with a normal life, and then you have a mom who is one of the first celebrity lesbians to come out, have a partner, get married, get divorced, adopt kids, be a victim of all this weird stuff that went on with Donald Trump. I'm sure her kid is probably overwhelmed. Could you imagine growing up in that house? In that situation? It'd be a lot for a kid.
And I'm sure she, is whatever fill in the blank shamed all the time online, because she's so vocal that people feel like they need to let her know how much they don't like her, how she's this, she's that. I can't imagine my kids growing up with something where they go online and they see all these mean words.
Full of all that.
I don't know. But it does go to show you, though, no matter what you're doing, whether you're acting, whether you're, doing a show or something in entertainment, or even just a CEO of a company, when it comes to family, all of that goes away. Like we're all
Right.
back down to the same simple principles
Right.
of trying to raise decent
Decent
respectful,
Yeah.
you know, lovely adults. You know, I read one time that we're not raising kids, we're raising adults, and it kind of changed the way I looked at
Right.
my parenting,
That's interesting.
you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so now I feel bad for you know, shaming Rosie. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Rosie.
So what else are you working on that you can talk about?
I just did a music video parody, which are some of my favorite things to do.
Yes, you're so good at them.
Thank you. There's a bunch of them on my website if you ever get real bored. And so I decided that I wanted that Taylor Swift song, Bad Blood, that was playing 17 times every
Yes.
minute on the radio. I was like, oh, what can I do that's inappropriate? Because I love to cross the line. So I was like, bad blood, blood test, woman in labor, doesn't know who the baby daddy is. There's 3 guys in the waiting room, give them blood tests.
Oh
so the
my
video
gosh.
is about a Taylor Swift lookalike that we cast, Bar Polly, who's actually a really great actress. She's delivering and she ends up having triplets and ends up with the janitor from the hospital.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Did you have Maury Povich in that?
no, but you know what's funny is that it got a bunch of the comments were saying things about Maury Povich and how this should have been included in the Maury Show.
That's funny.
So if you're, it's on my YouTube page and it's Bad Blood Test. So it just hit over 1 million views. Which
Oh my
is
gosh,
huge.
that's
So-
awesome.
So I'm doing that.
Well,
and-
I'll link to it on broadcast.com too.
and then other than that, I just host my show every night for Hearst Digital, which is a recap basically of everything you missed from last night's TV. So if you don't get to sit and watch TV, Jackie, don't worry because I'll do it for you.
Excellent.
And then pick out the funny parts and then hand deliver it to
Perfect.
your Facebook page the following morning.
That's exactly what
I'm here for you.
Yes, I love that. You're such a giver, such a
know.
giver. I have to say that my kids, for about 3 months, other kids would sing "We'll never, ever, ever get back together."
Right.
But my kids, because I'm a terrible mother, would sing your version of "We'll never, ever, ever do that together."
Oh.
So we won't say what that one is. If you guys want to search that
on
one,
my website.
What's the name of your YouTube page?
It's
Nikki
just,
Boyer?
It's just Nikki Boyer. Actually, I think it's Nikki Boyer TV.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
that'll throw them
Oh,
off.
I know. Whoa, now, hey.
So,
wow.
yeah,
Did
so
the kids see
they
that?
didn't see the
Okay,
video.
Good. Oh, good.
Yeah, my husband and I were
Well, hey,
watching
now.
it, and we were in the living room, and they were in like playing video games or something in the other room. But we were playing it, and we were laughing, and they just kind of picked up the words.
We're never
and
doing
so,
that together.
Yes.
Use your imagination,
Yes.
listeners. It's very funny, very out there.
It is very funny, and
Yeah.
and your singing voice is so good.
Oh,
That's the
thank
thing I
you.
like about it too. Is like it's catchy, like the stuff you do.
Oh,
you know what I
thanks.
mean? Like the music is good.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
it's funny.
Oh, and Tommy, my boyfriend, Tommy Fields, he's a composer.
Your life partner.
My life partner. The man whose children I help raise. He does all the music, all the composing for it. So we really try to make it sound as close to the original as possible, which we do get in trouble sometimes because of publishing.
Because it's
and-
better than the original sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Exactly. They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I love doing the parodies. We'll keep doing them.
Yeah.
Keep
Will you ever
posting
put the
them.
girls in them?
I put them in one parody, and it was
And
a
that's
little
the last
bit,
one ever.
Well, no, they had to eat a bunch of cereal. It was the Demi Lovato song. It's a day, your heart gonna be a heart.
Oh, yeah.
break. But I wrote it around a restaurant worker who needed her break. All she wanted was her break. Give me my 5-minute break. And so the kids are at the table. She's trying to drop off the check, and then she poisons everybody in the restaurant. And then the kids had to eat a bunch of cereal and pretend like they were vomiting. So that's how I employed my stepkids. I was like, all right, you guys, eat all these Fruity Pebbles, chew them up, and then vomit them out. And they're like, cool.
Did you pay them in Fruity Pebbles?
Exactly. I gave them
So
a box.
a minute left.
Oh,
Peter's
I had
giving
so
us
much
the 1
fun.
minute.
Thank
you for
you.
coming up here and
I love this.
north of LA. We're like Canada adjacent.
Right?
People think it's so far out in the suburbs of Los Angeles.
It's not that bad.
But no, it's not.
Peaceful out here.
Yeah, and it's
I
nice
just
and
love
quiet.
the show, and I love you, and I think what you do is really wonderful.
Well,
so
thank you.
I've always
Thank
been
you.
a fan.
Aw. So Nikki Boyer
.com.
.com and Nikki Boyer at Nikki Boyer on Twitter
Yep.
and Nikki,
And Nikki-
it's Nikki Boyer
I know, really.
on Facebook.
And then Nikki B TV on Instagram. Are you sick of me yet?
No,
Okay, good.
I love everything that you do, and
Oh.
I just know that there's success and
Thank
good
you.
things in your future, and will you be my best friend?
Yeah, I already am. Done.
And well, when Kim comes back, it'll be the three of us.
I want to hang out with her.
Yeah,
so
we'll let her know how things are going to go.
Okay,
So,
cool.
all right, set 5740 is going to yell at me. So thanks for listening to Broadcast with Nikki Boyer, Jackie McDougall. See you next week.
Bye.